Hi, welcome to the Dieku podcast. I'm Gary Snow. Today, I welcome John McQueen-Scott and Terry Herc, the designers of Stargazer Keep, a cosmic sword and sorcery RPG zine series inspired by the music of Ronnie James Dio and channeled through the lens of Mörk Borg. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hi, great to be here.
Likewise. Thanks, Gary.
Well, I'm super excited by this Kickstarter, and obviously the elephant in the room is Dio and how it inspired the game. But before we do that, let's just talk a little bit about how you guys got into gaming in the first place. So maybe, John, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I've been running games for a little over 10 years, maybe around 15 years, almost as long as I've been playing tabletop games. It was kind of the thing where when I was in school, me and my friends always wanted to play games. We always talked about playing games, and it just never happened. We always thought that we needed a guru, we needed a guide, we needed somebody to lead us through, which is just not the way things start, really. So it wasn't until I was in my 20s that a few of my friends, we finally found somebody who was experienced DMing and ran some 4th edition for us, which, like a lot of games, just fell apart. We lost touch, we lost contact. And then a few years later, D&D 5th edition came out, and I said, you know what, I'll just do it. I'll bite the bullet and learn the rules, read the book, went through meticulously. I had to know every rule. I had to make sure I had it perfectly. And then we got to the table and I was like, oh, I really didn't need to do that. That was kind of unnecessary because, it all falls apart when you start playing, and it's better to just play. So started a campaign with my friends, and then moved on to just reaching out to find more people to play with. That's how Terry and I met each other and played together for a very long time. 5th edition and other games. I started to branch out into more indie stuff. Started to appreciate the other, non D&D avenues a little bit more. And as I've grown older, have basically moved away completely from anything that isn't rules light, or at least easy to get to the table. Still run games as much as I can, but now I've got kids and it's a little harder. So it's easier to write things.
And I should mention, Calgary represent. We are all located here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is the hot spot of gaming in Canada, I'd say. Home of the Sentry Box, the world's largest game store. But
That's right.
So Terry, how about yourself? How'd you get started?
It started all in high school. I wound up with a group of friends playing some old school Palladium riffs, that like D100. So like mega crunch, lots of rules, lots of character options. Transitioned to D&D 3 and 3.5. And similar to John, I kind of lost touch with the hobby for a little while when I moved to Alberta. And I rediscovered it in a big way in Edmonton and then Calgary when I wanted to, form some groups, start to meet some new people. D&D 5e came out around that time, and it was a big influence. And as time went on, I started to think, gosh, like there are so many rules. I really want to focus on telling a great story with my friends. That's always the fun part, is having those laughs. And the rules, they facilitate that, but sometimes they can get in the way. And so I also started to discover some science fiction games. I became a huge fan of Mothership when that started to roll out. And I've been publishing some D&D 5e items. And John and I actually did a Dungeons & Dragons piece together quite a few years back. And then as time went on, we looked at different ways to explore different genres. And, this opportunity with Stargazer Keep came up.
Very cool. And the inspiration behind it, like maybe we could even like get into that, because Ronnie James Dio and his music. And so how did this kind of form at the beginning? Like, when did you go, hey, this is like got some legs and we're going to make this thing?
Yeah, so my Dio obsession began many years ago. I was introduced. The first time I heard of Dio was through Tenacious D. They have a song about Dio on their first album, and I was just like, who's this guy? I gotta check this out. That was in like the early 2000s in high school. So kind of started going through his back catalog with his band Dio. And then from there found that he had sung for Black Sabbath for a while. And then from there found his stuff with Rainbow and Richie Blackmore. And that's when I first heard the song Stargazer and just became obsessed with the concept of this tower. This wizard builds this tower into the heavens, and only dreams to find his star, to ascend amongst the stars. But before he can, he falls and perishes. So that's around the time when I was really getting into gaming too, and so I always had this tower, this Stargazer Keep, that I inserted into every campaign that I ran. And it took various forms. Like sometimes it was just something that the characters would come across in passing, or they would it would be part of a bigger part of the adventure where they'd have to go there and do something. It wasn't until I started playing in some Mega Dungeon campaigns. Dolmenwood, or Barrow Maze and Dolmenwood was one of the most notable. Most recently was Gradient Descent, which Terry ran. That I really became infatuated with the idea of Mega Dungeons and realized, okay, Stargazer Keep has to be a Mega Dungeon if I'm going to do something with this. Which was always the goal too, to publish something. And so we figured, yeah, it has to be a Mega Dungeon. So I approached Terry about it a few years ago, after we had worked on a different project that was kind of done and dusted for a while, and the dust had settled from that. So was looking at starting something new, and Mörk Borg seemed to be a really good fit, just because of the kind of musical inclinations of that crowd. It has gone from being a Mega Dungeon about the song Stargazer to bringing in the entirety of Dio's catalog of lyrics, because there's just so much depth and almost like an implied mythology behind a lot of his lyrics that you can draw together and you can make connections. He likes to bring elements from different parts of his career and kind of cross-reference between songs, and it's been really fun to kind of draw that into a big picture.
And so Terry, when you got this first glimpse of the game itself and this idea of combining it with like Mörk Borg and like an adventure, how did you go? Like, how did you think it was going to be received from like an audience that would be like interested in purchasing it?
That's always the hardest part, is you have a great idea and it's how do you deliver it to people that are going to enjoy it. And now that I am reflecting on this, right around the time John and I started talking about this was when the Dungeon 23 project was starting to come about. And that was definitely in the air. I'd run Gradient Descent, and we wanted to be inspired by Dio's catalog, but find like other themes that we could layer into it. And one of the things that stood out to me in a lot of Dio's lyrics and even his band name is rainbows, the different colors. And the number 7 really started to come up as a theme, the 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 notes in a musical scale, the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And we thought, well, maybe we could use that as a layer to build up this tower, to have like different sections and each part be themed around something. And then it became clear that this was a series. It was not just one tower. It was a tower with many different parts, and each part could stand alone. And then we realized that this could be a series of zines. And so, of course, it needed a system behind it. And Mörk Borg was the perfect fusion of aesthetic and rules light. And we started with the first part of the tower. We've got some really big ideas for the second part, and it's fun being able to find ways to have a section be unique, but also interesting. So you could have a through line that takes you from the bottom all the way to the top into the stars, or the sections could be run as like a self-contained dungeon. So that was the goal, to have something that people could run as one giant epic campaign, or like a lot of people do, you know, you take a module off the shelf and you drop it in and, you know, this is what we're running this weekend, let's do it.
And as far as like it being compatible with Mörk Borg, as well as could people just that have never played Mörk Borg, could they like buy the 3 zines that are part of the Kickstarter and play? Do they need Mörk Borg?
It's definitely runnable as is. And that was the benefit, is we wanted to have something that, you know, you could run it with just buying these books. But we know that there's a lot of people that love Mörk Borg and they always want more stuff. And one of the things that we did differently was, you know, as we were developing the content, we realized that the lore of the fiction really needed a mechanic behind it. Mörk Borg and a lot of rules like games, they lack a sort of history check, to use like a D&D type term. And John, I think it was when we were developing the classes that part came clear. Am I remembering that right? Or
I think it was in part inspired by Gradient Descent, which does add a kind of a stat to Mothership with the bends, and I thought that was really cool, and thought, you know, Mörk Borg is bare bones and it's basic enough that there's a lot of room to add, even just, you know, just the smallest tweaks, just the smallest little additions. I'm not exactly sure when it came up, but the classes play into it quite a bit. We started adding the Stargaze stat kind of as a point of leverage for a lot of the class abilities.
Cool. Well, let's get like into the basics of the game itself, as we've already kind of alluded to. It's a cosmic sword and sorcery mega dungeon adventure path with a power metal fantasy. The art, just talk about the art, because always Mörk Borg fans love the art. Just how did you kind of come up with the artistic direction for it?
Well, we focus a lot, you know, each book, as Terry alluded to, is going to kind of be themed around a different color of the rainbow. So the first major section is orange, because we have black is the kind of player's guide, and red is the kind of GM's guide. So we have tried to kind of theme everything with that color palette in mind. For black, we do have a lot of just like line work and stuff like that we've added color into. But we wanted to make sure that everything was kind of along that line work, and black and white direction, so that it could be fit into any zine, any color that we release in the future. We have been lucky enough to work with amazing artists on this. Tristan Tolhurst has done a lot of work for us, and Monica Seifert has done, I'd say that probably both did it equal amounts. And a lot of the direction just came from the stuff that they were giving us that we really liked and that we really wanted to include.
Well, I love the concept. Like, it's just like a concept album almost, right? You got the rainbows, and then you've got the colored zines. And I love when people can kind of have that kind of thematic piece where they have the different colors of the zines. But I can't help but ask, obviously, you've got 3 zines right off the bat in this as part of this Kickstarter. What are the future plans, without getting too far ahead of ourselves? Like, what's the grand scheme of like what you're hoping to do here?
Yeah, the goal is really to have, you know, a vast body of work. I myself am very inspired by the Wormskin zines for the Dolmenwood setting, And it was a way that they could, build it out, and, now it's become something far larger. Being able to focus on different parts in different books really lets us lean into themes. And because it's a Metroidvania dungeon, there's an aspect where you can return to the earlier parts with information or items and unlock areas. And I found that was not really something that came up a lot in Mega Dungeons. Like the ones that I've played over the years, I wouldn't exactly say linear, but they tend to have, kind of like a straight line. And the idea of being able to have a zine that's a self-contained adventure, but there's all these callbacks or even like physical returns was one of the objectives. So the orange segment, which is Raiders of the Machine God, that's the zine. It's really focused around the mechanical objects that sort of run or support the dungeon megastructure. And then the next segment, there's a lot of focus around like the themes of power and like physical power. And then as we go higher into the tower, that's getting closer and closer to the stars. And I would just say it starts to get a little weird with what we developed. But, like everything in life, the ground tends to be grounded. And the further we get through this project, the more excited I am by a lot of those cosmic influences. They start to get weird in orange, and they'll only get weirder.
Cool. And we're looking at the black version of the zines, the Voyager's Handbook. You got 7 Doom classes. You want to kind of hone in on some of these cool classes?
Yeah, sure. So everything, especially with the classes, we tried to draw from the songwriting of Dio. We have the Reticent Masquerader is one. Is kind of almost like a bard type of class. Like there's a lot of performance behind it, but the different variations on the class are different styles of mask that they wear. There's some pretty cool different abilities that the different masks. The way that Mörk Borg does classes, I think, is really fun because you just kind of get a random variation on each class, and then there's not a lot of building up. When you level up, you just gain your ability scores may change and your HP may change, but there's not a lot of growth outside of that. With the idea that your character is probably not going to last very long, which is another thing that we've really leaned on. We have the Reticent Masquerader. We have the Cursed Singer is another one, where they kind of have pretty good starting stats, but their flavor ability, their variant ability, is more of a curse, something that hinders their play. So, for example, one of the variations is they can only ever have 1 hit point. So they might be kind of really leaning into the glass cannon style of play there, that they might be able to use really powerful spells, but if they get hit even once, maybe the armor might protect them a little bit. But
was it were the classes, like the fun classes, just obvious to you as like you went through the lore and the lyrics and you went, oh, this would be fun, this would be fun? Was there any kind of moment that you went, is 7 enough? Do you need more? Or the number 7 played into it?
The number 7 definitely played into it. And there are more. We had to cut. So I have a large notes document just with ideas for more classes that are undeveloped, that will include as character options with future releases.
And that's one of the things I really like about the zine format is sometimes you have to be a little bit selective of what you put in there. And there was a few class ideas that I thought, man, this is super cool. And, sometimes they just need a little longer to cook. Like you got a great idea, and mechanically it feels like we're almost there. And, we'd love to be able to bring a lot of that stuff out once we fund this first campaign.
And as far as we're looking at the Red Stargazer guidebook, as far as the lore goes, how in depth is it? As far as could a GM like read it and just run with it and like do it on the fly, or like how much investment do they have to do before they run a campaign?
So again, kind of leaning into the groundwork that Mörk Borg has laid. There's a couple pages of lore, not a ton. A lot of it is implied, and a lot of it is found through the dungeon. We've taken an approach similar to like the Dark Souls styles of games, where we've included little lore tidbits with items, and so the idea is that the characters can grab those and bring them to an NPC, and she'll say, "Oh, here's a little bit of some secrets about the keep." I would love to see GMs take an approach where they are kind of learning about the story, the background, and the lore alongside the players.
And that's one of the benefits of the rules light systems. They, in my opinion, lean a little more heavily into the storytelling side of things. And, there's some like big pillars, like, the wizard existed, but the whole tower is shrouded in mystery. It's been like a millennia since it was built. And the advantage of being able to discover it while you play is the GM can have some surprises too. It's hard to read a gigantic mega dungeon book cover to cover and pick up every bit. And so giving the GMs that opportunity to discover it through play makes it exciting for them too.
Cool. And then we're now looking at the Orange Raiders of the Machine God. And so for folks listening on audio only, go to the YouTube page. You can see some of the cool art and layouts that are in play here. But so going back to the Orange Raiders of the Machine God, to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is the first main section. We do have a little bit of introductory rooms in red in the Stargazer's guidebook, but this is the first main section after the players have kind of set up their home base, kind of in the red section. In the main hall, they can go up the stairs, and here is the first really dangerous, really secret filled and loot filled and monster infested area of the dungeon. And the idea behind this section is it's kind of where all the low level looters and pilgrims and anybody who might be traveling to this dungeon, this is kind of where they get to, and they run up against really scary stuff, and then they may or may not progress farther. So the factions that we've included here, we've got kind of like grave robber or tomb robbers, and then we have another faction of kind of like a religious cult type of faction. And they're all kind of lorded over by Cyberos, the machine god, who you see on the cover there. Beautifully drawn by Tristan Tolhurst. I love that piece of art. It's so good. Yeah. And he is one of the followers of, or was one of the followers of the wizard before the wizard fell. And we kind of have this not so secret that people are like, is the wizard still around? It's pretty obvious, I would think, right off the bat, that the wizard is no longer around, and they're going to find out what happened to the wizard as they progress. But Cyberos is one of these followers that kind of picked up where the wizard left off. Of course, there's 7 of them. We call them the Septarchs. And they're each kind of featured in their own section. So we have the machine god here. who's been transformed into this machine by a cosmic cataclysm, and he leads an army of skeletal robots that we call the Dehumanizers, which fans of Dio will recognize as the title of the third album he did with Black Sabbath. They're these really cool chrome scythe wielding skeletons that rend the flesh of their victims and turn them into robot skeletons that then have to also follow Cyberos kind of unwillingly. The theme, Terry mentioned that we themed each section kind of off a ancient wonder of the world. So this is the mausoleum. So there's a lot of burial alcoves and cool statues and stuff like that. The players are just encouraged to get in there, get to know the factions, and see what they can do, see what they need to do to progress.
I do love the cover art. It's especially with the orange, it looks so awesome. As we speak, the Kickstarter is live, and I can maybe go into the Kickstarter page after. We can do like kind of quick scroll through, but just tell us the basics of the Kickstarter.
There's a bunch of different options. A lot of people love PDFs, so there's a basic PDF level if people just want to get the 3 books. We also have physical options that can give you those books in print, or what we found during playtesting is it was super handy for all the players to have copies of the player's book. So we've got a bundle version of that. Plus, there's some other bundles where people can get some back catalog. There's another Mörk Borg adventure too, actually, that we're offering. Lots of varieties. Will ship anywhere in the world. We'd love to have everyone back this campaign today.
And pledging starts at 25 Canadian, and our dollar and here in Canada is so bad that 25 Canadian, that's just a nice meal out. So
it's so bad. We need your help, everyone.
For the price of a cup of coffee, you could support some Canadian creators here. And then I will bring up now, just and we can kind of scroll through it, the Kickstarter here, and we are going to have links down below and in the description that you can follow and get all the information you need to support this creative endeavor. And as I mentioned before, obviously we've got red and red and orange. Is yellow next? Is that the plan? Roy G. Biv?
You bet.
Yeah, exactly. We've got quite a bit of yellow kind of in development right now. And then lots of plans for green, blue, and so on.
Yeah. And one of the things we really are looking for right now is we want to get it in people's hands. Because we've put a lot of time and energy into the project so far. It played really well. We had lots of great feedback from our playtesters, and we want to get other people playing it. And using that as a way to help build interest for the next part. Like John says, we've got it, I would say, fairly well developed. It's got strong bones, and getting some feedback from the rest of the Mörk Borg world will really help us polish that into completion.
Well, it's looking super exciting, and I think it scratches all the itches of a Mörk Borg fan, as far as you got death, you got like mystery of kind of a horrific nature, and also heavy metal music intertwined with all of it. And so just once again, the Kickstarter starts when?
It's live right now. So
that's right.
Until September 25th. We'd love to have everyone back this campaign. It's going to be epic.
Awesome, and hopefully we have a lot of success. I know that the 3 zines are going to be awesome, and then we're going to try to work on future ones. Are you going to do them in batches, or too soon to say?
I think what we'll likely do is batch the next zine, batch yellow, with some more character options. Maybe a zine of monsters, maybe a zine that's just extra spells and magic items and stuff like that. We really want to give GMs more tools, so that we have tons of encounters, random encounters in the books. But if we can give them tools where they can create their own encounters and do their own stuff with the sections of the dungeon between releases, then that might keep interest and be valuable for people to even bring outside of Stargazer Keep into their own content.
Very cool. Okay, well, I wish you the best of luck throughout the end of the Kickstarter, and get out there and support your indie creators, and make sure that there's more zines to come. So Terry and John, thanks for being on the show and sharing your incredible work. And good luck with the Kickstarter.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.